Hi, I'm Richard Tang, CEO of Zen Internet, and it's my very great pleasure today to welcome Tristia Harrison to our Zen HQ in Rochdale. Very warm welcome, Tristia.
Thank you, Richard. Delighted to be here.
So let's talk about full fibre, because I know that Zen has a big focus on full fibre. I know that TalkTalk has a huge focus on full fibre. At the moment, this is the decade of full fibre.
It certainly is.
Like Zen, TalkTalk is partnered with Openreach, partnered with City Fibre, but there are about nearly 100 other AltNets out there ferociously building fibre as quickly as they can possibly build and fund. So what is TalkTalk's strategy in terms of those nearly 100 other AltNets?
Very good question. I mean, I think first thing to say, it's delighted to be here in Rochdale. I think as we've said many times, I think there's lots of parallels between TalkTalk and Zen as disruptors in every variant of connectivity. But as you say, we are now, as we embark through 2023, in a very, very exciting time. I think it's for a number of reasons on full fibre. The first thing is there is now true competition, as you say. Openreach, Clive said it, Openreach is building brilliantly, over 10 million homes and a big plan ahead. So that's exciting. City Fibre Holdings, of course, you and us have a long-term relationship with, again, building furiously. The real question, though, is what happens next. And I think in the end, you've got to remember the customer in this. And of course, customers do want super fast speeds. We can really see that. But customers have also really enjoyed the benefits of fibre to the cabinet. So really, I think a big part of the answer of the next few weeks, months, years is the rate of customer take-up. So you ask about our strategy in that. Our strategy is twofold. We have 4 million broadband customers, B2B and consumer. We have a big Ethernet business, and we're looking to upgrade their speeds and connect to full fibre as quickly as we possibly can. But we are agnostic, like Zen, to the builder. So as long as the builder is at scale, well-funded, in areas that we need to be at and want to be in, then we're happy to connect them. And we're working really, really hard to connect as many of these full fibre providers as we possibly can. I do think as a smaller AltNet, getting customer take-up is the number one priority. Not necessarily working with government or lobbying or anything. It's about customer take-up. So I think partnering with the likes of Zen or TalkTalk Group is really important for these guys.
And of those 96, how many do you think TalkTalk will end up partnering with? And the reason I ask is, from Zen's perspective, it's a huge deal for us to onboard new fibre builders. So, we're just sticking with Openreach and City Fibre for the time being. But I understand that you've got plans to be a bit more ambitious in terms of you'll take a few more into the fold, but obviously not the whole 90 odd.
No. I mean, part of what we're really focusing on and have been for the last 2 or 3 years really is our wholesale platform and how we can aggregate all services, whether it be Ethernet, EAD, backhaul services, broadband services, fibre to the premise to as many customers as possible. And we've really accelerated that with the purchase of Virtual One, which brings effectively smarts and APIs and portals across our 3,000 exchange network and actually across all of our suppliers. So yes, you're right. We are onboarding a number of alternative networks. Again, our criteria are quite simple, well-funded, good automation into us, good wholesale rates, clearly. And then, as I say, we're agnostic and we will connect customers to whoever we have on board. But do I think there's going to be 100 in a few years' time? I think sadly not. So I think there is going to be consolidation.
Okay. And how many do you think will be left? And if you were to speculate, who do you think those might be?
I don't think I would ever speculate.
I mean, City Fibre, we've both already speculated on City Fibre and they'll be there, the biggest.
City Fibre, growing quickly, investing heavily, well-backed, well-funded, etc. There are a number of other scale providers. So we've onboarded Community Fibre, who are nearly 1 million homes in London. So that's really exciting. ITS, Freedom Fibre locally here in the northwest, but I'm certainly not going to speculate on the number left.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel a lot like the early days of the internet industry, where there was a whole raft of new ISPs that came into being, and then over time, I guess between about 2000 and maybe 2006, 7, 8, they're just fewer and fewer and fewer. There was loads and loads of consolidation. There's quite a few disappeared. I think actually you guys bought most of them.
Yes,
In the end.
yes. I think we're lucky enough to have some of the beautiful old names of ISPs. We've got Home Choice, we've got Toucan, we've got Bulldog, Pipex, Tiscali.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. I think that consolidation happened then, and the consolidation is going to happen again. But I do come back to the point that's fundamental, which is this is about customer take-up, customer demand, a brilliant service, whether you're a small business, a residential home, or a really large business. In the end, you want seamless, super fast connectivity. And that's what all of us need to help to provide, I think. And I think that's what's so exciting about the retailers that are agnostic to build.
Definitely. Let's talk about an industry hot topic, Equinox 2. So Openreach's discount program, which Ofcom has delayed for a couple of months, whilst it considers whether it is anti-competitive or not. Obviously, the AltNets are having a bit of a sort of shot at Equinox 2. So what's TalkTalk's official stance on Equinox 2?
So we're thoroughly supportive of Equinox 2, and the reason really is that, back to my point around, the stuff that the fibre is going in the ground, there needs to be take up. We also, like Zen, sit in quite a unique position because we're obviously heavily supporting Openreach, but we're also very, very focused on City Fibre and others, and we believe strongly both can succeed. And who knows where Ofcom end up, but we think Equinox 2 is excellent, and we think connecting to alternative networks at scale is also excellent.
Yeah, so there's great. We're on the same page there. We both are supportive of Equinox 2. We both think that the allegations of it being anti-competitive are not true. And actually, we both partner with the biggest AltNet and are putting loads of business with the biggest AltNet. So,
Exactly.
So what's the big deal?
We're a case in point.
Yeah, there
I'd
you go.
say.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the plans that you've got to potentially sell off your TalkTalk Business Direct part of the business. I just want to sort of get an idea of what's the thinking behind potentially offloading that part of the business.
Really, it goes back to our original roots. It's amazing, Richard, actually. I think I was saying to you earlier, we're 20 years old. So 2023 is our 20th anniversary. So Charles Dunstan and I were there right at the start when we bought Opal Telecom, and selling connectivity to consumers was just a pipe dream. We were doing mobile phones at the time. But Opal Telecom was a B2B wholesale platform. And you roll on 20 years later, and our real focus is wholesale and B2B. And we're increasingly thinking of ourselves as a wholesale platform whose largest customer is our residential business. It's around 2.5 million broadband customers. And then we have TalkTalk Business Direct, which is around 90,000 customers. And you'll have seen in the press, as you mentioned, that we are running a process. We've had lots of interest in it. But really, it's about making sure that we're focused on our wholesale platform, hence the investment in Virtual One, and indeed the OVO SSE broadband base. So we're making more acquisitions in that wholesale area.
Yeah. There's been some criticism in the press of all the big broadband players, including TalkTalk, hiking prices by more than inflation. So what do you say to those critics?
Well, I think, we all know how huge the usage increases have been over the last, pre-COVID, during COVID, and since COVID. I mean, to give you a stat, we are hitting our biggest ever, 7+ something terabit of usage now, and those peaks are only continuing as you combine Champions League and Call of Duty and now AI and all these things. So first of all, usage. Secondly, Openreach is passing through pricing. at a high CPI rate. The third thing is, from a TalkTalk point of view, we've always been the affordable provider. So even though we're putting through CPI with some margin, of course, because we get the CPI pass through from Openreach, actually we end up being at the affordable end. So we're comfortable with it, and really it's down to the usage that has just exploded over the last few years.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to your experience historically as a woman in a male-dominated industry, telecoms and technology, and you say a bit about your experience in your career today. How does it feel now? And any advice that you would give to women who are either currently in our industry or are thinking about getting into our industry?
Well, it's a really good question, Richard. I mean, I'm tremendously proud of what we've done at TalkTalk. In the Northwest, we really try and spearhead, women in technology in particular. We employ, as you do, lots of engineers, lots of coders, lots of project managers, etc. And it's really, really important we support, young women through their careers. I would also say it's not just a gender thing. It's an everyone thing. And what we've worked really hard to do in Salford is build a culture that means you can be yourself at work. Doesn't matter who you are. You can get on in your career. We will support you to do that. And I sort of couldn't be prouder of that. I think in terms of my personal experience, I think I'm pleased to say, as you look at the more junior parts of all of our organisations, the balance is better. Diversity is coming, but it's not great at the top. And that's a problem. And I think it's a problem for the UK, and it's a problem, obviously, I have a role to play in. But there are all sorts of ways through that. Education, clearly, sponsorship, STEM subjects, all these sorts of things. And I think it's a campaign and a programme of work that needs to just keep coming to the forefront. But I'm focused where I can focus, which is in the Northwest and within the TalkTalk telco sector.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a huge women in tech community in Zen and trying to do everything that we can.
Yeah, and I think we've done some things together, actually, so we should definitely do more.
Definitely. And last question, you are the chair of Crisis, the national homeless charity. Yeah. And Crisis has a very, very bold ambition to end homelessness for good. And I'd just be interested in your own insight into, firstly, the homeless issue itself. Yeah. And secondly, I suppose the question, that aspiration to end homelessness for good. I mean, it's such a brilliant aspiration, but is it really achievable?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, first of all, it's been 3 years since I've been lucky enough to chair such an extraordinary charity. I did 10 years at Comic Relief before that, which was also a brilliant campaign, Red Nose Day, etc. But having a single purpose and a single mission is an extraordinary thing. And in the end, you can say it's incredibly ambitious, but it should be everybody's right, whoever you are, to have a home. And that's what the team at Crisis do so brilliantly. It's a combination of things, of reminding people of that very simple fact in the, frankly, rich Western world we live in. It shouldn't be okay that the number of people that you see day to day rough sleeping or sofa surfing don't have a home. So it should be solvable. So we do lots of work on the ground, locally. So in London, in Newcastle, in Liverpool, in Birmingham, in Swansea, in Edinburgh, in Glasgow. And we do as much as we can with government and with policymakers. And in the end, there's one reason, which is we do not have enough housing in the UK. And so I think that sort of sense of that not being okay and working as hard as we can to change that is the thing that the team are doing. But it's a fascinating sector and a fascinating charity. So thanks for asking the question.
Very well, worthwhile. Yeah. Tristia, thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard.
And thank you very much for watching.